kicker. With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
After 2,155 races and over a decade of competition, the Precision Racing League is taking a little bit of a break. But we couldn't let that happen without having a little bit of fun first, and what better way to say au revoir to the PRL than with a couple of ridiculous multi-class races. 2 sprints, especially crafted for chaos and drama, and the stars and cars that made the PRL what it is. Welcome to the PRL Au Revoir Open on RaceSpotTV. My name is Joey Tebben, bringing you to the finish here alongside Mr. Evan Pasoko himself, Evan Pocono himself, some may call him. Behind the scenes on sound and pictures, as you may have been able to tell, is Mr. Dustin Allis. It's going to be 2 races tonight. This is just race 1, with each of their own unique classes. No total points across both races, no champion at the end, just some ridiculous fun. Race 1 is on track right now, or practice for race 1 is on track right now. And here's a rundown of your first 3 classes. They're all on your screen right now. The GTPs, a modern classic of the PRL. Top-level sports car racing. Made it to the PRL once more a couple of seasons ago, and we've never looked back. But they'll be racing, as you can see, against much different classes than usual. The second class, the theoretically second fastest class, is the Pro 2 light trucks, the jumpy trucks. A classic of PRL All-Star Invitationals and fun races alike. Gotta have them here. Can't have a celebration of the PRL without the jumpy trucks, and the jumpy trucks are gonna have a little bit of fun. They may be able to cut the track more than some of the other classes due to just the slowness of the truck. And no incident limit. Black flags will not be cleared, but if you can get away with cutting the track without getting a black flag, nothing we can really do about it. And then the final class, the third class. It's one of the newest cars on iRacing. The mini stocks are out for the first time in the PRL, making their debut at the last possible moment. These guys have been about equal on pace with the trucks, so look for quite a bit of overlap, quite a bit of drama, and I'd say quite a bit of annoyance for the GTPs. There will be a race 2 after this. NASCAR Trucks GT3 and Formula 3 will face off at Southern National, but for now, we've got to do race 1 here at Montreal, Evan. Your home race of sorts, about halfway.
And it's, I think, very fitting that this au revoir, goodbye to the PRL happens here in the city of Montreal, in the kind of Quebecois capital of Canada. And it's almost a bit of a dichotomy, if I'm using that word correctly, Joey, that we have such an unserious race, right, with a very fun blend of multi-class racing at such a serious track. I think that's going to make this more fun, is these guys can't mail it in, per se. This is a tricky track, I think, certainly more so for the drivers in the likes of the jumpy trucks than the prototypes, but this is an awesome racetrack. It's an awesome blend, and we were just talking before we started, as we watched the end of practice here, that we're kind of hypothesizing how many times we'll see the prototypes come through, but what I was surprised by is seemingly how equal the mini stocks and the Pro 2 trucks were. Now, that might change in qualifying, but they have been a mixed bag in practice, and it would be, I think, pretty exciting to see those 2 classes stay so close together. You see those blue and pink numbers on the leaderboard there kind of intertwined, because they're going to be so different speed-wise in the corners, on the straightaways, but if they all equal out to about the same, it could be a fun battle through the entire race.
Practice has been checkered flagged, and qualifying is ready to go. It's not going to be your usual multi-class qualifying, though. Open qualifying for 5 minutes. All 3 classes on track at the same time. If you're in a truck or in a mini stock, your laps around this place are about 2 minutes long, so in a 5-minute open qualifying session, you're going to get 2 laps in here. You better make them count. And if you're a GTP, you got to make them count too.
Yeah, I don't know how many clean laps you're going to get in either with this open qualifying. And right on cue, there's already a couple of cars spinning around towards the rear. Off track, I think that was a blue prototype that went around. Rest of the field's going to come on by. But if you're these prototypes, you want to time out getting ahead of this chaos, coming to the start of your first time lap. There's another spinner, prototype into the fence in the background. That might have been Derek Heiberger. It was. He'll go down to the pit lane. So right as I brought it up, I think a clean lap is going to be more of a challenge than anything.
And it's very important to qualify well here because the classes will actually grid together. If you don't get a lap in a GTP and 2 trucks do in front of you, as Neil Alexander comes up on a little bit of a moving chicane, you might have to start behind a truck and a mini stock on a standing start at that, and that's already maybe kissing 10 seconds goodbye before turn 1 even comes.
Yeah, there's an onboard look with Neil Alexander, the 276 machine right now, and an iconic part of the racetrack right here, heavy braking zone down into turn number 10, the hairpin corner, and then you've got that long casino straight. That layout there, thousands of feet for this kind of third sector, and then you get to the Wall of Champions, that quick right left turns 12 and 13. These prototypes going to handle this quite well, this heavy braking. But look at the mini stock up the road. Look out and get out of the way as Neil Alexander's going to come on through. And that looked like a pretty clean corner behind him. Give credit to Christian Mendez there as they get on their first time laps once they come by the stripe right here.
Oh, a little bit of aggression there. The 96 of Adam Ostrich trying to come through. I think he was actually trying to give a little bit of a bump draft to Mark Kalin. I think they were trying to team up a little bit. Mark Kalin entirely misses the chicane. And poor old Peter Mahler, actually one of Mark Kalin's teammates on Solpec Precision Racing, they end up coming together a little bit, disallowing both of those laps, and now they're on the clock for their first legit lap of the session.
In some more drivers with some issues, Ethan Bass has some problems. He went off of the racetrack. He was on his out lap, so he didn't even make it around to a time lapse. So to your point, this 5-minute session gives you maybe 3 laps as a prototype, maybe 2 as a jumpy truck or a mini stock, but that's assuming you can get out there and get clean laps in. There may be a lot of drivers starting towards the rear without a clean lap to their name. You're on board there with Doug Evans in number 41 machine. This is a timed lap for him, but coming to the start of it, Aiden Young got around him. That 427, look at him hanging the back end out, certainly drifting through the corners a little bit more than we're seeing out of Evans.
Love to see Doug Evans here, one of the startingest drivers in the PRL, a term we invented a couple of seasons ago. 170 starts across who knows how many series. This guy's been in a truck, in a Cup car, in an Xfinity car, in a GT4 car, in a GT3 car. I think he might have even done a couple of F3 races at some point. It's only fitting, though, to see him in a giant truck. I feel like that's kind of Doug's vibe. Sean Campbell gets the first legitimate lap on the board. No surprise to see him putting it up on pole. Graham Wildman in P2. But it's early days. There's only 2 drivers out of 25 drivers that have actually set a qualifying lap.
Yeah, no shock, it's the GTPs who are able to get ahead of the chaos early like I had thought and get to the clean racetrack. And there's a heavy braking zone for these trucks for Evans down into the hairpin. You can see Aiden Young continuing to pull away. That 427 seems to be having a really good lap. And now getting up behind Evans is Peter Mahler here in the 997. So we'll see if that mini stock can draft him down this long straightaway. A couple of mini stocks lined up behind him. That next driver back in line is Kevin Simpson. All these cars looking for timed recorded lap number 1. Doug Evans going to get past. There's that straightaway speed that we had alluded to by Mahler, absolutely making the move in the 997.
Here comes the first mini stock and Pro 2 truck lap times. Nick Hunter gets a mini stock lap on the board to put himself on pole for the moment. Tyler Graff on pole in the trucks. But let's see, what can Peter Mahler do here in the 997? Can he beat Nick Hunter's 202? Not going to know until it shows up on the timesheets there. A little bit of timing troubles in his transponder, but an invalid lap for Peter Mahler means that one didn't count. He's going to have to go around one more time. Kevin Simpson invalid as well. Nick Hunter is the only driver with a legitimate lap in the mini stock so far. Checkered flag flies in qualifying, so every lap now will end your qualifying run. You got one final run to the line now.
Yeah, 2 minutes on the board. That looks like it'll be enough time for everybody to get a lap time in. It might be close for Alex Crow, a 2-minute 4, for Faison Sake, a 2-minute 9 lap time. So if you were right on the stripe, it might be a little bit close to actually complete this lap. But basically everybody that's on a flyer is going to be able to get there. Alex Crow spinning in his truck, so he's off the racetrack. He will not improve on a 204.526. He gets off of the racetrack. Nobody else involved. Ethan Bass currently sitting in the number 5 spot in class, trying to improve as he's on track as well. So is Aaron Sunday, the 331. That driver looking for a lap time for his first recorded one. Look out, though. Fast traffic.
Great lap from Derek Heiberger as there's calamity in the Le Pingle hairpin. But Derek Heiberger, the champion in the GT3 class of our GTP GTP IMSA GT3 series, Derek Heiberger has dumped Sean Campbell off a pole in GTP. That's very impressive. All these truck guys are 0xing each other. I don't think any of these laps are going to count. Austin Hunter, he's just going for a little bit of a drift festival, getting himself ready for racing action. And just ahead of these guys, coming to the line, Graham Wildman and Sean Campbell are about to finish their last laps now. Are either of them going to be able to dispose of Derek Heiberger? The answer is no. Wildman improves, but he stays P3. Derek Heiberger is going to be your pole sitter.
Ryan Luna did a good job of weaving through the traffic. He improved not enough to get another spot, and that onboard look there with Hunter gave you a real cool perspective. One of the trucks crashed off the Wall of Champions on Quebec Wall there, turn number 13, and it was much like this scene here, except coming to the end of their timed laps. That's what corner number 13 looked like, coming to the start-finish line. And of the nearly 25-something drivers in the field, I'm only seeing 13 recorded times. So we knew that qualifying was going to be a challenge. I think thankfully for most of the prototypes, almost all of them did get a time in. Unlike Neil Alexander, though, the lone prototype without a time in queue, I cannot wait to see him start from a standing position in with everybody else.
Well, let's take you to the grid. It's a very mixed up grid. And up at the front, Derek Heiberger pulls off a somewhat unlikely pole. We know he's a very fast driver. We know that Hyperion Racing Team is very fast in GTP competition, but Heiberger dumps the newly crafted grid and go driver Sean Campbell at a pole position. Graham Wildman, the chat's favorite, they'll be rooting him on one more time as he starts third, and the Flying Ostrich, Adam Ostrich, will start from fourth. The Bassmaster, Ethan Bass, just got off of work, got about 10 minutes of practice in, he'll start fifth. And Ryan Luna, a jack of all PRL trades, will start sixth. Edwin Onofre gets pole in the mini stock. He only got a couple of minutes of practice too. He starts alongside Emmett Lindquist, who is in a GT3 this season. And then the first truck of the day is Aiden Young, a champion in his own right in the PRL this season. Not a truck champion though, this is very different. Nick Hunter rounds out the top 10. Tyler Van Grafsbergen starts 11th. And Alex Crow, second place in the LMP2 championship this year, rounds out the top dozen. Faison Sheik was the last driver to get a lap in qualifying. He'll start unlucky 13th. And then all of these guys were not quite so lucky. They'll be blended further down in the grid. Christian Menezes, Kevin Simpson, Jeff Evans, David Bush, and Peter Muller down to P18. Andrew Venaro and Mark Kalin on the 10th row. Neil Alexander, the only prototype driver who wasn't able to get a lap in. He'll have a little bit of bad luck back there, starting 21st alongside Aaron Sunday, Patrick Cowgill, and Doug Evans. Two PRL regulars looking forward from the back of the grid. And rounding out this 25-car grid today, Austin Hunter looking forward in the Nerdsmobile. 25 cars, 3 different classes. We already saw enough chaos in qualifying. You ready to race, Evan?
I'm ready. Like I said, I'm looking forward to Ethan Bass being way, in the mix as well. I mean, he's going to have an opportunity. Without a time in practice, he surprised me in qualifying. And then I look at the opposite side, right? Who was good in practice that didn't get times in queue? And you got guys like David Bush, who was the fastest amongst his class in many stocks, no time in queue. Kevin Simpson, same thing. The fastest truck, Aiden Young, he got times in. So the trucks were surprisingly resilient and all of that, and it was the mini stocks who took the brunt of the beating through that open qualifying session. But you're going to have a lot of fast mini stocks trying desperately. You saw their top end speed on those straightaways. I'm looking forward to some brave moves under braking for those mid-pack field.
And you ready to see something you don't normally see, Evan? A standing start in GTPs and mini stocks. The trucks are used to a standing start like this, but the two other classes, very much not.
And you know those prototypes at the front of the field, again, they want to get away. And hopefully they can behave themselves, keep it under control at the front of the field. And then the question is, what happens when you get about 3-4 rows back? We're going to find out right now.
Green flag flies for race 1 of the PRL Au Revoir Open. Some of our GTPs struggling to get off the grid. But Derek Heiberger cleanly into turn 1. Graham Wildman challenges Sean Campbell for second. Is he going to be able to make that work around the outside? You see some of the trucks already going for the course cut, and one truck tumbling into turn one. Not sure who that was. That was Faison Sheik, actually, and Faison is stuck on the tire wall. Very bad luck for him. Damage healing is on, so any crashes will be repaired instantly, but you can't repair getting stuck on the tire wall, and poor old Faison Sheik is the first loss. Emmett Lindquist in trouble. He's broadside across the field. The number 5 goes around of Christian Menezes. Lots of drama already, and it's still not over.
Bush is going the wrong way. That's that pink mini stock going reverse into this corner. He'll try to whip it into a 3-point turn. That was a nice recovery by the 32 off screen. He's able to keep it going. So again, the lack of damage going to help these drivers for sure, but it has been a messy one. Ryan Luna, we knew this was going to be a challenge. He did not get going at all on the start. He's what caused the big stack up. Look at the dive to the inside by the 41. Doug Evans not even close to making that corner, and he hip-checked somebody out of the way. It might have been Moeller.
This is going to be a race of survival. We already knew that, but it's especially going to be a race of survival. Let's see what happened to Faison Sheik in turn one. He was going for the course cut, but his hubris got the best of him. He clips the front end of David Bush and gets rolled into the fence. Course cutting is allowed, but sometimes you fly a little bit too close to the sun, so you can't say he didn't deserve that.
Things you hate to see, but I think that's a predictable result to go in there from about 20 spots back into turn number one and try to make that chicane a straightaway. Meanwhile, off that final corner into the end of lap number one, continuing to try to make headway through the field is Luna. But again, that's already tail end of the prototype field. You can see these trucks using that second bit of turn number 13 as an example. Here's some of the issues that happened on that opening lap with the number 32 machine. I mentioned got squeezed into the outside wall, and then as they all start stacking them up here, through Ponte la Concorde in turns 4, 5, 6. He gets spun around backwards and then basically put it in reverse or coasted in reverse for the next straightaway and a half right here. He's going to get tagged, that pink 32 machine right there. And instead of bottlenecking the racetrack, he just keeps going in reverse. And it helped him lose less spots than I think he otherwise would have.
Battle for the, well, not quite for the lead, but for a little bit deeper in the order in GTP. Adam Ostrich, Ethan Bass, and Neil Alexander. You got all the chaos in the world on the left side of your screen, and somehow we've still managed to find a legitimate battle down on the bottom, as there was Mark Kalin in the number 21 getting punted out of the way by one of his Whataback teammates. But if I didn't tell you otherwise, Evan, if you were just tuning in right now, you'd think this was a totally legitimate GTP battle.
You'd think that it was a legit race going on, and then there's the good duality. You cut to the trucks off-roading. I mean, they're designed to do that, but guys, that's not the course layout, but they're going to do whatever they can, get the course cut penalties, and hope that the lack of speed of these things on the straightaways makes up for it. This is the battle for P2 in the Pro 2 light truck category. Look out, there was two different mentalities there. Aaron Sunday said I was going to slow it down and slide it into the corner, and the 427 of Aiden Young said that I was not going to turn into the corner, and they are still ripping body panels off each other. They're hooked together right now, and all of those little baby mini stocks drive on by.
Poor old Aiden Young, GT4 champion, one of the most dominant drivers statistically ever in the PRL, and unfortunately his day goes from mediocre to a little bit worse by getting dumped by another truck. Slowdown being served by our race leader actually in mini stock. That's Edwin Onofre serving a slowdown. Kevin Simpson takes over the race lead in the mini stock class.
We mentioned that the trucks, if they have those slowdowns, the speed of the trucks kind of takes care of that for them. Not in the mini stocks. They've got that top end speed on the end of the straightaways, and you saw the course cut there from the 771. That was Tyler Graff, who basically just makes that one corner by utilizing the pit road exit to his advantage. There's the nice slide, but a little bit too wide. The 312, that one of Austin Hunter. It's a little bit out of shape, and now back up in the prototype category. This one for P1 overall. The 26 of Campbell, the 6 of Heiberger, and through goes the 26.
Heiberger tried his best to keep Sean behind, but he couldn't do it forever. Now he's got to hope for a little bit of trouble. There's some Pro 2 traffic coming up. Aiden Young is coming up, and he is going to check Sean Campbell up. Heiberger splits the difference. They're going to be side by side into the braking zone. Campbell held on that time, but he's got a whole field of mini stocks and trucks to deal with now.
And that's what you want to see in a multi-class race like this, is drivers splitting. You can see a couple of the trucks, those Pro 2 lights at Austin Hunter, Christian Menendez in the mini stock, getting out of the way, yielding to the leaders. Some drivers will play nice, they'll get out of your way. Others may try to make things more difficult. Simpson around, that's going to cause more issues, stacking it up behind. Big trouble. The prototyping up in the air, that is Aiden Young. When it rains, it pours. Young is in the air, now getting punted middle of the road. As
Turn him
Mark
back over.
Kalin drop kicked him.
Got to get turned back over, Aiden. Somebody's got to help him here. He needs somebody else to hit him. He's lodged on his side, and he can't roll it over like GTA. He needs somebody else to hit him. Here's
No
the
public
ramp.
Cry over the radio.
Whee!
There's the jump. He almost landed it. To his credit, it was almost a perfect barrel roll. He didn't land it. So far, no public cries in the driver radio chat for somebody to give him an extra punt to get back on his wheels, but he'll probably stay there until he finds the help.
I hope somebody helps him. Neil Alexander in trouble, and the 5 of Christian Menezes. In a race with this much chaos, somehow Christian Menezes, I feel like, has been involved in more of it than anybody. Although this one was his own fault. He tried to brake at the GTP braking point, and I think he realized he's very much not in a Porsche sports car.
Yeah, the downforce is a little bit different, and the weight distribution not quite the same between those. Here's the battle for P3 overall in the Pro 2 light category. 3rd, 4th, and 5th in class. It's about 13th total on the racetrack. Evans, and Venaro, there they go off the racetrack. Now, 2 different strategies here. The 41 and the 51 cut the first chicane more. Behind them, Andrew Venaro tries to cut the second chicane a little bit more. And there was Ostrich getting turned off of the racetrack on that second look, courtesy over to the Pro 2 trucks. And in this battle for 3rd, passing all of them, was Neil Alexander, P6, with the prototypes making his way through. And it's a pretty cool shot on board the left front suspension. Ooh. Look out as the Venaro makes his way through.
Change for the lead in mini stock again. David Bush has taken that back over. But I love this battle. I love a Jeff Evans versus Doug Evans battle. I love it when they wreck each other. Jeff about tried to do that to his dad that time, but Doug goes for the crossover, goes for the grass. Jeff is going to have a big run here. He's got the momentum. The Evans versus Evans battle is going to continue down the backstretch.
Going to be a drag race as they make their way now onto the final straightaway on this racetrack and look for the tricky braking zone. Here we go, side by side to the inside. Goes that 51 truck of Jeff Evans. To the outside is Doug. It's going to have to be one or the other. And under braking, Evans, what a move. Nice corner by that pink 51.
Tyler Graff has ended up down pit lane. I don't know how that happened, but I have to imagine that he failed to serve his slowdown fast enough, and he might be serving a penalty for that.
Was the one thing that you couldn't do is if you got the slowdown, serve it on track. And sometimes drivers feel like it's a bit innocuous how much time the sim's going to give them to be able to serve that penalty, but I promise you, slowing 5 seconds on a straight, much less painful than what he's dealing with there, because he's going to lose all those spots. And for as impressive as the pass was for Jeff Evans, headed down into the Wall of Champions, he lost that spot just as quickly as he gained it. Doug's back in front of him.
And this is now the battle for 2nd. Alex Crow has pulled a 14-second lead over the rest of the Pro 2 class. This is incredible, and it's similar to some performances we saw from him in the LMP2 class this season. But this is a far different race. To pull 14 seconds, now 18 seconds, he is just running away with this thing, and I think Jeff and Doug, as they run into each other again, they're both hoping that somebody flips Alex Crow over in the next 10 minutes. Doug squeezes Jeff into the wall and ends up looping himself around.
And as you said, that Alex Crow did get taken out. He had a spin and then got tagged as that truck went off the racetrack. So Crow did end up losing some time. Not enough to put a massive dent in the advantage that he had, and the issues with Doug Evans kind of nullified that. So Crow did have a spin, but he was so far ahead he could spin the truck, recover it, and keep on going. Was that
new leader
P1 in the prototypes? That was Campbell, who went around in that 26.
It was coming through turn 3. They had to split, or not coming through turn 3, coming through turn 8. They had to split the difference. Sean ended up in the grass and couldn't get it slowed down. Heiberger in the grass on the other side of the track did get it slowed down in a more reasonable fashion. It's It's exactly what we were expecting to see. This traffic is so much slower than these GTPs that if you get held up in the wrong place, you might lose 5 seconds instantly.
And they're comically slower, which makes it more difficult. Here you see the Pro 2 trucks, again, using that pit lane exit. Pretty smart move. I mean, they've got that figured out. As long as you can, yeah, you see, you get the left side tires on the grass, you're going to lose all that bite. And when that happened, it allowed Andrew Venaro to be able to get around Jeff Evans for position. Those 3-4 trucks, whatever we've been checking in with nonstop, have been putting on a good show. And then the mini stocks, you know, their braking's at a different speed than the pro stocks. The prototypes are just kind of flying around. You might have really not much more of a choice than to, you know, throw it into some of those corners. And Mark Kalen's been beat up a little bit in this race. He's still got a smile on his face. He's enjoying his time right now. He's, what is it, about 5th, I think, in class.
That's probably better than he was expecting. Got turned around on lap 1, ran into all sorts of trouble, but it is very good to see Mark Kalen here one more time. Another OG of the PRL, 3rd most starts of anybody. So we'll be seeing more of him, I'm sure, for quite a while. He's not going anywhere. David Bush has actually just taken the lead of his mini stock class. And Alex Crow, you can see the difference. There's him, basically halfway down the back straight now. 2nd place in his class. We've been sitting here for about 10 seconds, and you can't see any of them. You can only see David Bush. He hasn't been talked about much, and to his credit, that's been a good thing.
You know, split intervals, lap times, couple tenths here or there, not big in the grand scheme of things, but I'm sure it's a blast for Venaro and Evans and Doug, who's kind of fallen off after that recent spin. As you see, I think both the prototype and a mini stock getting by them, but for these two, I mean, they just can't get off each other. And again, it's probably a blast to be this close on speed with somebody. Look at the punt that time. Evans sends Venaro around as off into the pit lane goes Jeff Evans. So maybe he also needing to serve a penalty. The 51 is in from P3.
Darn. Bad luck for Jeff Evans. Doug Evans, too. But you can't... Derek Heiberger is in a little bit of trouble. He's been having some internet issues. He was blinking out for about 30 seconds, and now suddenly I think he is back. So any Derek Heiberger fans, your panic can end. He's back into existence. But for anybody who has run into trouble early, for your Jeff Evans, for your Doug Evans, for your Faison Sheik, let me remind you, this is not the last race of the night. There is one more race after this where you're going to see most of these guys come back. There's going to be a whole slate of new drivers in race 2. This is a gigantic night of crazy action for the PRL, and this is only the first half. We do have 7 minutes left, though, and there's been so much drama that, I mean, Alex Crow can maybe put a pin in him. He's probably a likely winner in the Pro 2 class, but mini stock and GTP, we've had multiple leaders all day. We've had multiple crashes. I think this might come down to the final lap.
It may in both, and I think now that these drivers, you know, they had plenty of practice earlier today too, but in race condition, I think they're starting to figure out where they can make the moves. I've never seen a truck so gracefully cut a corner so, you know, obtrusively the way that he did it that time, but they're kind of figuring out the lines. They're getting a little bit more space. You see that 16 machine, Lindquist kind of missed the hairpin there, but it's going to get the bite off the corner. Lindquist 3rd in class for the mini stocks at Ofray P2 up the road. And then haven't talked a lot about David Bush, but I had mentioned him on the start, did not get a spot in qualifying, had to start at the back on the starting grid. I think the standing start certainly benefited that pink 32, but after being the fastest mini stock in practice, and despite not getting time in queue, that 32 has been pretty comfortable, it seems, so far.
Sorry, Evan, but Derek Heiberger is currently lodged on the side of Jeff Evans's truck. He's trying to get off of him, but they were glued together. He finally gets going, but Graham Wildman takes 2nd away.
And when that happened, Sean Campbell went right through it. There's that yellow and black prototype driving away. Not much Derek Heiberger could have done on that one, and then he drove that thing on 2 wheels like a monster truck for about 30 seconds before he kept going. I think that makes that battle for the overall win that we were hoping to see in these final 5 null and void, unless there's some big trouble for Sean Campbell there, because that's some bad luck for Heiberger.
These trucks are so sticky. I've never seen a car that's so sticky. You can't throttle off of them. They've got so many open bits and giant tires. If he was on a mini stock, he might have been able to drive off, but these are some sticky trucks. I think this is Faison. He was the first one who went off a little bit, and then
right in front of the leader. Got to be heads up, and that was maybe my fault for saying I think these trucks have figured out how to masterfully cut the corners, because with all respect to Faison on that one, it didn't really work according to plan, and I think he knew that one. He's back down for a penalty, so he's got a black flag. P4 in mini stocks underway right here. Christian Menezes and Kevin Simpson, 4th and 5th in class. That's going to be 13th and 14th overall. This could be mistaken for a real race. Look at these guys going at it in these mini stocks.
I was just going to say, we got a legitimate battle developing here. Simpson elects to give a little bit of a bump to Menezes, though. Doesn't go for the move. Going to peek a nose to the inside into the hairpin, but he's not close enough to actually make it happen. Out of the hairpin, he's going to have Ryan Luna behind him. He's actually going to get by Kevin Simpson. I think he was hoping for a little bit of help from Luna there, maybe a little bit of a bump draft, and he didn't get it. He just did it himself.
Push draft would have been nice. Overall leader slides through the middle. That was Sean Campbell on the scene, and now this is going to be really pushing the limits of what brakes they've got in these mini stocks. 130 miles an hour into the hard braking zone, turns 12 and 13. There's going to be about 3 laps left to go for mini stock pace based on the clock, and Menezes into the fence on the wall of champions, and that'll grow the buffer.
I think we've seen some drivers actually able to bounce off the walls and make it work, because there's no incident limit. You can do whatever you want, but in a truck, you're probably going to ramp over the tires. In a mini stock, you're probably going to get stuck as well. But I think I've seen Sean Campbell tap a couple of walls and use it to his advantage.
Sean Campbell's had a really good race in this. I mean, obviously, was the best car in practice, qualified in the number 2 spot, and had some good battles throughout with the likes of Heiberger and others. Heiberger, by the way, ended up all the way in 3rd by the time he was able to right the ship. So there may still be a battle. It just may be for 2nd on back in the prototypes, because Wildman, Heiberger, and Bass all separated by about a 2nd per position. It's not a fight quite yet.
Ooh,
that
Ethan!
could be fun, and look out. That's not how you translate that one into a fight. Right as I said, Ethan Bass had a chance in P4. That thing was airborne and now pointed the wrong way.
Ethan Bass went for the comedy option there. He went to split the middle that wasn't quite splittable. I applaud that. I applaud not going for the move. The legitimate move, the easy move. I applaud splitting the difference. That was way funnier.
Yeah, if you don't go to split the gap on too many stocks that are about 40 miles an hour slower than you, then what are you doing?
Oh, Mark Kalin got so lucky there. There were about 3 GTPs out of control, piling towards him, and he managed to survive. He used up all of his luck, all of his bad luck from the start of the race. He just got repaid for it.
Yeah, this is looking like lap 1 again. Doug Evans out of control, spun around his Ostrich and Bass. I think that was
Faison
into the fence. Now he's in it again, and that's the 8 up in the air as somebody else behind them. So it is lap number 1 all over again. Was that Aaron Sunday who's also around? Just when we thought we had gotten the train back on the tracks, it is anarchy in the final 2 minutes.
Yes, it is. There is Aaron Sunday, broadside across the track, throttling it up and getting himself turned around. Alex Crow did bring it down pit lane, by the way. The trucks have actually run out of fuel. They weren't able to make it 20 minutes, so he had to come down for a 2-second stop or so. Quick splash and dash. The pit cycle should be done. I can't believe I'm saying that sentence. In the Pro 2 class very shortly. And we only have a minute left in this race. White flag is going to fly this time. And we have a battle for 2nd to resolve. Derek Heiberger, who was leading this race for about half of it, had some very bad luck with a couple of trucks wrecking in front of him. And now he's pushing to get by Graham Wildman here.
And for the moment in time, this can change quick. But there's a little bit of clean racetrack. They are going to get to some more prototypes and mini stocks up the road, but at least in this small subset, we can have a real race between these two. As this time by, they're going to take the white flag with 1 lap to go. Heiberger trying to salvage a P2. Wildman trying to hang on to it. And there's off and away for the final 2.71 miles.
The Graham Cam. It's the most frightening Graham Cam we've ever seen, with Heiberger hunting in the background. Even more scary is Jeff Evans in a truck coming behind them. They managed to avoid him, though, keeping both of those cars ahead of that. There's some traffic coming up ahead, though. I think that's a little bit of GTP traffic immediately ahead. That shouldn't be too much of a worry, but there's still trucks on track, and Derek Heiberger may have phased out of existence. He's somewhere around there. I hope he makes it to the finish at least.
Maybe that's the idea to make the move, is just disappear, and then Wildman can't put a block on you.
I feel like it's worked for him before.
Yeah, he lost time that time he appeared, but it's kind of like a high-stakes game of, name that or finish this puzzle. I don't know where that car is going to show up at any time. He's not going to get to Wildman in the end, but Sean Campbell running away out front.
It's kind of unbelievable to say. In a race like this, where anybody could have won, anybody could have been taken out, anybody could have survived, Sean Campbell still manages to find a way to win the race. The most dominant driver in PRL history. He'll win one more time in race 1 of the PRL Au Revoir Open. The newly signed Grid and Go esports driver brings that Porsche home, but there's 2 more classes left to decide. It's been a similarly dominant showing for Mr. David Busch in the 32, as Tyler Graff goes for the ultimate wheelie into turn 1. He's done. David Busch coming into the hairpin now to win, likely in mini stock, but it's not over. He's got a little bit of traffic to deal with.
Yeah, and he's still on the same lap as the drivers behind him, with Onofre, Lindquist, and Moore, so he just really needs to blend in, and 2 problems. You can't do that when you're 3 wide. You also can't blend in a hot pink car. You can't really be incognito when that happens. He's just going to kind of ride in the wake of that 997. Peter Moeller in front of him, not for position. And David Busch has been the best mini stock here in Montreal this afternoon. 2 more turns.
Bonk, bonk, 2 more curb hits. Remember how David Busch's race started. Got turned around in the middle sector, put it in reverse, Terry, full throttled it, and he is going to make it to the line. He's checking up a little bit. He's letting Edwin and Onofre close down, but not by much. 6-second lead for David Busch. And Alex Crow, the most dominant scene in the Pro 2 class, a full lap over the rest of the field. The LMP2 runner-up this season ends up on top in the Pro 2 class, and Christian Menezes is in trouble, gives up the podium to Emmett Lindquist in the final corner.
Yeah, maybe had to slow down, so Lindquist going to get that spot in the mini stock category. And you're right, Alex Crow a full second ahead of the next closest Pro 2 light. The celebration is on. And all I'm saying is, Alex Crow, white truck, no bright colors, incognito. I'm telling you, the rest of the field just knows. Bright car, you're going to get hit.
Simple works sometimes. Keep it simple, keep it stupid. Sometimes it works out for you. But race 2 is coming up very soon, but first, what happened in race 1? We know Sean Campbell was our victor. Dominantly, not untouchably. Derek Heiberger did have the better of him for half the race, but unfortunately, traffic did not go Derek Heiberger's way, ended up lodged on the side of Jeff Evans. He ends up second, and Graham Wildman rounds things out with a podium. Neil Alexander, who did not get a lap in qualifying, survives it to be dead in the middle of the field. Adam Ostrich, Ethan Bass, and Ryan Luna both had respectable days in their own right. David Busch, a victor in the mini stock class, spectacularly ahead of Edwin Onofre. Emmett Lindquist, trading a GT3 for a mini stock, finishes 3rd. Christian Menezes and Kevin Simpson round out the top 5, ahead of Mark Kalin, Nick Hunter, Peter Mahler, and Patrick Cowgill, who all went 1 lap or a dozen laps down. Alex Crow dunked on the field in the Pro 2 light, a lap over everybody, survived all the chaos, and gets 1 more win in his docket. Tyler Graff, gotta respect a second place for him too, especially after that wheelie on the final lap. And Doug Evans, great to see him on the podium, and a New York sweep at the end of the top 5 with him, Venaro, and Mr. Jeff Evans, who is in South Carolina now, so maybe not a real New Yorker. Austin Hunter and Aaron Sunday were 1 lap down as well. Faison Sheik was a little bit of a bowling ball. We enjoyed seeing it, though. And poor old Aiden Young. Nobody came to rescue him, Evan. That's tragic. That's disappointing. And I think everybody owes Aiden Young an apology. Nobody owes David Busch an apology, though. He was victorious. He wins in the mini stock class. And what do you think, Evan? Should we see David Busch's perspective?
Let's catch up with some of these top drivers and see what they had to say. After a wild one, David Busch ends up as your race winner in class. Today ends up ahead of the likes of Edwin Onofre and others. So, David, congratulations. And to be honest, lap number one, you're driving this thing in reverse like it's a YouTube video halfway through the circuit, and then you end up winning relatively comfortably. How was that?
It was a pretty hectic start of the race. It looked like one of those TikTok compilation videos there for a good minute and a half. But once we got everything squared away and calmed down, I just had to go to work and tick off some laps. And other than that, it was pretty calm.
Well, we saw, calm amongst the chaos. We're taking a look at the replay of your spin on the opening lap of this race. What is the definition of calm in this? Because maybe the benefit of these mini stocks is that they're kind of the in-between class between the two of them. How much of your time was dodging the big trucks? How much of your time was trying to get out of the way of the prototypes? How do you find that balance in something so goofy?
Yeah, the game plan from that mess forward was just to kind of sit behind the trucks until I could get to the long straight towards the end of the lap, and then try to blow by them and try to get, the goal was to get all of the trucks past by the time the quick cars were coming, so that I wouldn't have to be paying attention to both out front and behind.
And then this racetrack too, I mentioned it's such a serious track for such an unserious race. I mean, there were moments, most of them behind you admittedly, where we'd see a couple of mini stocks or even a couple of the prototypes ahead of you guys having a couple of corners, even a couple of laps of some really good racing. So what was it like taking these mini stocks out on such an iconic F1 circuit?
Oh, honestly, ever since they released these mini stocks to iRacing, it has been my honest favorite road car to drive. They handle almost like the MX-5, but it requires, I think, a little bit more skill to be able to drive them through the corners. And honestly, towards the end of the race, like, I was sitting behind a lap car and I had to fight the front tires because they were just melting sitting in traffic. So I think if you could get a few of these mini stocks grouped up, I think it'd be a good race series.
Well, are we going to see you in the second race, or was Montreal the bon voyage for you?
Yeah, I think I'll hop over into the second race. I don't know which car I want to drive, but I'll figure something out.
Well, we look forward to seeing the chaos that the Oval at Southern National brings us. We'll let you get out of here, David, though. Before we do, though, again, the end goal of this event, to have a little bit more fun one more time with all the different drivers from all the different leagues of the PRL, and just wanted to give you a chance to say hi or thanks to anybody who wanted to while we got you.
Yep, shout out to the admins. I wasn't here, I've only been here maybe a season or two, but it's been a great series and league to be a part of. I really appreciate everybody a part of it, and anyone who shows up every week to keep it going.
He's your race winner in the mini stocks. We appreciate the time, David. Again, congratulations on a good showing here.
And we do have our overall race winner from race one. Sean Campbell is here with us for one more interview. Sean, why? How? Even in this race, everything's there. You got Pro 2 trucks running you over. You got mini stocks everywhere. You still managed to win. How'd you do it?
A good prayer, I guess.
A good time. It was a good time. I mean, new grid and go livery on this thing. You got the IMSA esports stickers on there. You may have had the most professional entry here. How did it feel going by mini stocks and giant trucks?
Oh, like the good old days in
Like the good old
2021.
days?
Join a random hosted that's got a bunch of different cars in it.
Do you think the IMSA series should put this in?
Maybe! Like, have somebody driving around, or two people driving around. One pace car is the mini stock, and one pace car is the truck, and they're just going crazy in front of the grid.
Yeah. Arjuna, are you listening?
It would be
I
good.
highly endorse it. So you got your win here. I still see many spots in race 2. Are you going to pick up a truck or a GT3 or an F3 in race 2?
Well, what track is it?
Southern National.
That is free content, isn't it?
It is free content. Same password as this one. You know the password already?
Well.
Defending All-Star Invitational champion at that.
I wasn't planning on doing it, but I can.
I think that's a yes. I think that's a
peer
you
pressure.
should.
Yeah.
Southern Dash. Yeah, no, it's okay.
Evan,
now what
should he
car
do it?
should I do? Pick a number
Yes,
between
100%.
1 through 3.
All right, Evan, you can pick the car.
3.
Okay, I forgot what car that was. Just pick a car. Please pick a car.
I
I'm not
think
gonna be fast.
you should be in a truck.
All right, that's kind of what I was hoping for. To be fair.
All right, we'll let you load in there. Congrats on yet another win. I guess before we let you go, it's probably not your last PRL interview. I have a feeling we'll talk to you after race 2. But anyone you wanna shout out? Any grid and go folks?
I want to shout out all the PRL guys.
There you go.
I guess Justin as well, because he did PRL last season, I think, in the GT4 cars. But I mean, I haven't known about this league for a terribly long time, but it's been fantastic every single time. I wish everybody who worked on it the best. If it does come back, that would be awesome. But if it doesn't, then we will remember it very, very fondly.
We certainly hope so. We're gonna let you go load into race number 2. Still got a couple more people making that happen as well. So we'll see you in a couple minutes.
All right, peace.
Sean Campbell, your victor in GTP and peer pressured into the NASCAR trucks in race 2. Get a chat with one more driver. Alex Crow came home with the victory in the Pro 2 class. Extremely dominantly. How are you so dominant in this truck?
Honestly, my game plan going into this race was to cheat. Just cut the course as efficiently as possible. Not get any black flags. So that was my practice. My qualifying felt terrible because I hadn't practiced half the corners. But luckily, the two trucks that started in front of me didn't take the pit exit lane, so I got the lead right off the bat and passed all the mini stocks. And from there, just somehow managed to survive. The GTPs were mean, but I survived them. Sean was nice though.
He's a nice guy. So
He's
I see
nice
you have loaded into race 2. You're actually practicing as we speak to you right now.
Yeah, currently I am upside down, but
now you are. I was about 5 seconds behind you there.
there we go. Yep,
But,
that's good. I'm fine.
An F3 car, maybe a little bit more similar to the LMP2 car we're used to seeing you in. How does it compare?
Sure, maybe.
How does it compare when you're doing all left turns?
It's been a long time since I've raced an F3 car, and I'm not good on an oval, so this will be quite the interesting race. I think this one is purely just going to be survival. As long as I think as long as I don't get like stuck on my lid, it should be okay. But even then, if I get stuck on my lid, someone will hit me eventually, so I'll get back on my wheels.
Big wiggle right there. You're getting a little bit of a preview here with people reckon. You think this is going to be more chaos or less chaos than race 1?
Absolutely more chaos. Yeah, I've done multi-class on ovals before in cars that shouldn't be here, particularly IMSA class at Bristol. It's chaos. Thank you for turning damage off. Otherwise, no one would finish the race.
I think the cars with closed wheels might finish the race, but all of you F3 guys would be out of luck.
Yeah, no. There's no halo on these cars. That's dangerous. But
oh dear.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun. That's what we're here for.
All right. I wish you good luck. Congrats on your truck win, and maybe we'll talk to you again if you get another one.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks,
Alex Crow, your victor in the Pro 2 light class, and coming up now, Evan, race 2 of the PRL Au Revoir Open. Race 1 was a little bit of a celebration of the new with the GTPs and the Pro 2 trucks and the mini stock that we'd never raced before in the PRL. This is a celebration of the PRL OGs, the workhorses that we've had hundreds upon hundreds of races with in the PRL, the cars that built the PRL, the NASCAR trucks, the GT3 class, and the Formula 3 class, all doing battle on an oval.
And I think my favorite part about it is Southern National Motorsports Park. It's a cool short track, right? My favorite is just this scene. Under the lights, you got the lights coming off of the GT3 cars out there that are illuminating. Of course, the NASCAR trucks only rocking the stickers. They don't have the headlights. I just think the visuals of this is going to be fun, and we're going to know instantly, no matter where on a racetrack you're looking at, when one of those GT cars is spun, because you're going to see those yellow tinted headlights start lighting up the forest behind the racetrack. That's going to be like our caution flag. There won't be yellows, but that'll be our indicator that something's going wrong, is when the forest in the background starts dancing.
Now, so far in practice, we do have a little bit of a separation. F3 is definitely the fastest. GT3 is second. And the NASCAR trucks, the cars that were actually built for this, are the third fastest. So we do still have 3 fairly stratified classes, but I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of overlap.
And you're also about to see, I think, the strongest wheel tethers ever invented. Because these F3 cars, the second they get hit by anything, are going to get those wheels ripped off. They're going to be flopping all over the place. And, of course, because the damage regeneration is on and they're going to go back together, those wheels are just going to snap back in. So keep an eye out for the world's best wheel tethers, because these F3 things are going to start to look real silly.
Still waiting for a couple more drivers, so we'll ride on board here for a moment. And not ride on board for very long, as there's some instant contact there. This is Daniel Zegers, a driver very, very used to driving open-wheel cars on ovals. He's an IndyCar OG on iRacing, has hundreds of Lionheart starts and PRL starts and official race starts. This isn't that different from, driving a low-level open-wheel car like the Indy Pro 2000 car on the ovals, so he's probably the most used to this.
There's a good look at that tether in action. Also, what are the odds that the one time we go on board with a Formula 3 car, they get like 6 uninterrupted laps clean? Like, that may end up being a personal best for anybody in this. I mean, you talk about the amount of chaos we saw with 3 different classes at the 2.37-mile Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and now we come to a 0.4-mile short track. I mean, yeah, what you're seeing now, probably the calmest it's going to be at any point in this race, because there's only 2/3 of the cars that are in this race on track right now. We load them up. Oh boy.
And the truck is here as well. The most normal thing to see around here, but as I mentioned, actually the slowest car on track, weirdly. You're not used to seeing a car that was designed for this kind of racing to be the slowest. So these trucks are actually going to be getting lapped. Graham Wildman here is going to have to look in his rearview mirror and be careful of F3 cars coming by him. He's not used to that.
Yeah, you're not normally looking in your mirror for something like that at a place like this. And it is funny that the purpose-built machines for this, they're just so big and heavy that they're going to be struggling. And if I'm the F3, you're going to feel like the prototype just zipping through the field. But you're also scale-wise so much smaller. I know the mini stocks aren't big. They're pretty small, but compared to the last race, these F3 things are half the size of some of these trucks, as that truck gets turned by one of the GT3 cars into the outside walls. So I'm interested to see what kind of small crevices these F3 cars could find as they try to zip through and dodge some of these wrecks, because they are severely outsized. It's like all the other cars are the big BMW on a road course race, and everybody else is the rest of the field. Those F3 things, hopefully they don't get bullied around.
All right, about 1 minute until we advance to qualifying. You can see the most popular car in GT3 is the Mustang, but there's a couple of Porsches, there's a couple of Ferraris, there's even an Acura with the number 6 of Sean Mulholland there, but the Mustang proving a very popular choice. I guess it's not surprising. There is a NASCAR Cup Series Mustang as well, maybe somewhat similar, those two cars, but bring it to the line. Sean Mulholland is going to park it, and I think that is perfect timing for Race Control to advance the session yet again to 5-minute open qualifying. These are only about 12-second laps, so you'll get much more opportunity to actually get a lap in than you could at Montreal, but you still got to survive to get a lap in. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, you may see the same number of clean laps completed in this one, even though the attempts at clean laps likely to be tenfold compared to what we saw. And not to bury the lead, but the race for this one, 10 minutes longer than what we saw in Montreal. We'll talk more about as we get underway, but cars are off the pit lane, and here we go. Let's see if Ian Cabana could be the first driver off pit road to get the first clean lap in up front in that 774. They're already wrecking underneath them.
Cabana and Bergquist were fantastic in practice. The two Crikey Esports teammates really had this thing figured out,
Nope,
but they're going to get chopped off by the Porsche. That's Dave Jensen in the purple Millennium Porsche, just killing Ian Cabana there.
That's what it feels like trying to merge on the freeway here in Florida sometimes. It doesn't matter the speed difference. Yeah, just pull on up. Come on through. And that GT3 is absolutely wreaking havoc. Is, I think, now more trouble there for Dave Jensen, who I think single-handedly has taken out about a dozen race cars, and we're about 50 seconds into the session. Now make it a minute.
The 25 of Faison Sheik is not having a good time on the throttle. Has some struggles in the truck, and now adapting to an F3 car that has probably less power, but is probably more difficult to drive. Mark Kalin brings it to the line in his Mustang. Dave Jensen is working on bringing it to the line, but you're not going to get a qualifying lap in if you use the bumper.
You're going to be seeing a lot of the bump and run, maybe in your not typical NASCAR fashion with the weight and the size and the speed differences. We also don't have that overlap, right? It's just one F3 car sitting upside down in the set of returns 3 to 4. At least in Montreal, the second and third fastest classes, those trucks and mini stocks had a little bit of overlap. You don't really see that. In practice, it was very clearly defined that it was the GT3s following the F3 cars and the trucks on the bottom. There wasn't a ton of overlap. So having 3 truly different categories on speed is big, as Faison around again and will dive to the safety of pit road literally to get out of the line of fire.
And as Evan mentioned, this race will be 10 minutes longer. A 30-minute race scheduled here at Southern National. No yellows, except for one competition caution that will be thrown when the clock hits 15 minutes. So if things do get spaced out a little bit, there will be a caution to save you, to bring you back in line, but that'll be the only one.
And a decent amount of laps that I think just about everybody's gotten at least a clean lap in. So once you get a banker in, once you get one on the board, you can get more aggressive with it. That's a huge pile up. Jensen shish kebabbed onto the pit road wall. Christian Menezes is upside down and slotting on his roof into turn number 3. Doug Evans parked up against the fence. Oh boy, what a sign of things to come this qualifying session has turned into.
Kevin Berquist up to pole. You love to see it. Daniel Zeggers gets absolutely wiped out. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, and we're buried. We're buried in the ground. Are you regretting not being on track, Evan? You like your choice of being in the booth, or you want to be out there?
This chair is looking awfully cozy right now. I would have probably ripped my wheel off my desk trying to do some Days of Thunder moves to get through some of this chaos. So I am in this is only reaffirming my choice to not subject myself to the chaos that's going on trackside.
And this is only qualifying. We haven't even gotten to the race yet. And also, Faison Sheik has put it on pole. He immediately wrecks, but he was having so much trouble here in qualifying, couldn't get a lap in, and the first lap he puts on the board is pole.
Not a bad move after getting bullied around and not having a great showing in Montreal. Top of the board for the 2.5. Look out, couple of spinners high-sided. I don't think it was Faison, but I saw a couple of laps ago one of those Formula 3 cars put a bump and run on a GT3, and that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
A little bit of a donut there from one of the SRT drivers. Something I'm wondering, Evan, that competition caution's going to come out with 15 minutes to go. The field will stack back up. But how many cars are still going to be on the lead lap, do you think, to actually take advantage of that?
Maybe 2. 2's my hot take, and I think that might even be overselling it. Although, I guess you could argue there's going to be enough wrecks that it's going to balance things out anyways, but I think every class winner is going to be at least a lap.
I really like Tyler Graff's headshot. Makes me feel more connected to him, makes me feel a little bit scared. I like it. Tyler Van Graafsbergen.
If he just needs that on the rear bumper of the car, so that's what the cars behind him see, or put it on the hood, and then that way when you're coming up somebody in the rear view mirror and that's what they see, that's really the next step.
Well, qualifying has come to an end, and there's actually very little mixing in the grid. We've got 3 stratified layers of classes. It's like looking at a canyon. Everything's settled. Faison Sheik has put it on pole in the F3 class after all of his troubles tonight. That's big stuff. Ian Cabana puts it P2, and his teammate Kevin Berquist P3. The Crikey Esports guys have really come out to play in the F3. Jeff Evans in a very easy to spot car will start P4. Caleb Lehman and Daniel Zeggers round out the top 6. Alex Crow, fresh off of his win in the trucks in the previous race, will start a little bit deeper in the order alongside Doug Evans, and Austin Hunter rounds out 9 F3 cars going for the overall win. Aiden Young had a bad time in the trucks, but he's having a good time in qualifying in GT3. He puts that car on pole. Christian Menezes not far off in second. Dave Jensen and the Bassmaster, Ethan Bass, on row 2 in GT3. Andrew Venaro off of his truck podium in a Ferrari now. And Tyler Van Grafsbergen in P6 in the Porsche. David Bush, a Lamborghini, a rare choice in this field. He'll be looking to defend his mini stock win. Sean Mulholland is alongside him in his Acura. Neil Alexander and Ryan Luna round out the top 10. Mark Kalin in his Mustang and Robert McGeehan in his Mustang. Very happy to see them in this race, and happy to see Robert McGeehan especially, with him sticking with that Mustang in the GTP LMP2 GT3 series this season. And Aaron Sunday as well. Speaking of rare choices, he's elected to choose the Mercedes in the GT3 class. He'll start unlucky 13th. And then a shorter grid in the truck class. Sean Campbell wasn't even going to race until about 5 minutes ago, but he's put it on pole. Graham Wildman wants to take him down, though. Edwin Onofre and Colton Lane on row number 2. Patrick Cowgill also in more familiar territory for him in the truck. He starts alongside James Morgan, also a PRL Oval driver, as is Nick Hunter. Last driver, last car, a 30-car grid, Evan. Let's let the calamity begin.
He's no longer there, but while you were going through the grid, you were talking about Sean Campbell, the peer pressure to join this race, and I checked in with him, and he was in the drive-through line at the Snack Shack in the infield during the warm-up session. So he's feeling pretty good, trying to go for the double.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up there somehow. Maybe an F3 car will end up there somehow?
Yeah.
We're seeing in the YouTube chat, Alex Crow has asked for an EOL, and the answer is going to be no. I refuse.
Got a deal, man. Got a deal.
Exactly. Got to start where you start.
Rolling start this time, though. Speaking of which, that was my number one question, is what these drivers were going to be subjected to, but I do see a pace car out there.
If I could make it a standing start, I would, but unfortunately, our friends at iRacing have not made that a possibility on most ovals.
Come on, Steve. Make it a setting.
So F3 starting up front. They'll get, let's see, margin from F3 to trucks was about 2.5 seconds. F3 laps are 12 seconds. So the F3s are going to reach traffic, I'd say on like lap 2. So enjoy those 2 laps while you got them. Oh, this is interesting. The trucks, iRacing assumed they were going to be faster than the GT3s. So the trucks, despite being slower, they're actually starting ahead of the GT3 field. That'll make things interesting.
So that, yeah, you're right. That's going to be basically a rolling blockade for the trucks to slow down the faster GT3 cars behind them. And again, quickly on the scene will be those Formula 3 cars up front. They were about a full second a lap quicker in qualifying. So you give them 10 laps, that's only a fraction of how much time's going to be in this race. Buckle up, enjoy them how they look now, because it's about to get crazy.
Race 2 of the PRL Au Revoir Open, and this one is truly the Au Revoir. 3 OG classes, hundreds upon hundreds of laps have been turned into PRL in these 3 cars, and now they're going to send off the PRL in spectacular fashion together on the same track. The iRacing sedan pace car pulls down pit road, and Faizan Sheik takes control of the field and leads the F3s into turn 1. The NASCAR trucks and the GT3s take the green flag simultaneously. Tyler Graff is around in turn 1 already, but remember, those GT3s are faster than the trucks, and they're pushing to get by them, and they're all wrecking in turn 3 immediately.
Yeah, Zeger's into the catch fence. That car stuck upside down in turn number 2. Remember, it's going to be fine if somebody can flip him back over, but he is up on the outside of turn number 3. He just can't get uprighted, so the field's going to drive on by, and poor Zegers is going to have to take the tow. That is an early concession because he's going to have to wait a little bit to be let back on the racetrack.
Battle for the race lead. Kevin Bergquist was able to take it away from Faison Sheik early, but this almost looks like a legitimate battle as Faison rides up a little high, tries to get in the draft on the straights. Kevin Bergquist leading early, but he's got to survive and hold on to this lead for as long as he can.
So far, so good, but here comes the chaos, diving to the inside of the GT3s. Ryan Luna, top side, gets taken out as the leader. Into the air goes Faison. Also, Kevin Bergquist involved. Ian Cabana gets some damage. Austin Hunter, all top 4 cars. And the F3 class involved in that one. And Alex Crow, I think, is going to end up P2. Cabana in the lead. And now big shunt to the outside.
Faison got help.
F3s. Yeah, he got the
Thank you, Nick Hunter. Give Nick Hunter the Sportsman Award. He flipped him back over. What a guy.
Yep, he's good.
What a guy. He's got some trouble. He's still a lap down. He's got to figure out a way to get back on the lead lap, but he's still going. Didn't have to tow and lose 4 laps like Doug Evans.
Well, I think that's the key with these F3 cars that we did not see in Montreal. We saw it on a couple of occasions, but these things are going to end up on their lid a lot more than the heavy GT3s or those NASCAR trucks. So getting those assists, if you will, is going to be beneficial. We've already had about 4 of them stuck up and on their lid, and now good luck. It's like a game of Maze Runner right now, and Faison going to get turned around again. He just can't find an opening. The battle for P1 amongst the NASCAR trucks going on as well. That's Sean Campbell, Graham Wildman, 16th overall in class, but it's the battle for the lead if you're the trucks.
Alex Crow actually dealing with some lap traffic in his own class, and now dealing with the lead. He's got a huge run on Ian Cabana. Can't do anything with it. Cabana gets checked up, though, behind Ryan Luna, and Alex Crow sweeps around the outside to take the lead. Almost loses it immediately with James Morgan coming up, though.
Trouble,
big trouble, huge trouble. Jeff Evans involved, Ian Cabana involved, Neil Alexander in the Ferrari. Faison's upside down again.
Yeah, and Finaro was upside down there in his GT3 off of the corner. He tried to get a helping hand. Somebody tried to push him, and he was kind of rung up on the pit road wall, so he has to take the tow. Let's take a second look at how all of that chaos had folded in the big boxes. They're also wrecking in the live box at the bottom of your screen. That's the 2 up against the outside wall. So that's Aaron Sunday up on the outside fence. Christian Menezes also. And they're just trying to get out of the way, but that 22 is just sideways in the middle of the road.
And I think that was for the lead. That was for the lead in the GT3 class. And both of those guys have, I don't think, fallen a lap down just yet, but came very close to doing so. Aiden Young is now your leader in GT3, and he somehow pulled an entire straight over second place. The Bassmaster is nowhere to be seen in this shot. There he is.
And I know there's a long way to go in this race, but I'm impressed that 5 minutes into it, the battle for the lead in the F3 class is 0.2 of a second. The battle for the lead in the trucks is 0.4 of a second. I mean, it's pretty impressive given all of the chaos. And Alex Crow, the beneficiary of most of the chaos, he was 5th before the big wreck that took out the top 4, has been able to slither his way through. He's choosing the outside for the lane to get around these GT3 cars. You're on board with Evans as he pursues him. Now has to dive down to avoid the truck, and now boxed in. Where can Jeff Evans go? He'll split the difference. Nice move.
This is truly an endurance race. There's going to be 129 laps by my count at the end of this. You got to survive. It's not a sprint. You got to make sure that car is on track at that 15-minute mark when the competition caution comes out. Basically, everything up to then doesn't really matter. You just need to survive until then.
Well, there's Cowgill. He's leaning into the corners, trying to will that bad boy through the turns. He's got some work to do. Sitting right now, I think P6 in class amongst the NASCAR trucks. That puts him already 3 laps down compared to his leader in class, which continues to be Sean Campbell. We got a track blocker in turn number 2, wadding him up, but several drivers involved. It includes the F3 class leader, Alex Crow, and then Jeff Evans took the lead from him, and then just as quickly as that happened, he got wrecked. Crow back to the class lead.
Oh, it's not over. Mark Kalin turning around one of his teammates. I think that was Colton Lane or Nick Hunter in front of him. Robert McGeehan's in trouble. So unfortunate for him. The 99 truck goes around. That was Edwin Onofre, who's actually had to tow back to pit lane. I think he got beached on the asphalt.
There's another spin as that GT3 gets turned into the outside wall. Remember that halfway caution coming at lap number, or I should say minute marker 15. So we're about halfway through, and now Doug Evans, the latest driver who is hung up on the inside. No one's going to hit you on that bottom wall at that spot of the racetrack unless they mean to, so he needs to call in and phone a friend for some help. Jensen around the 692 gets it straighted. He was the driver who was in the fence about 20-30 seconds ago into the outside wall, and maybe for a moment, peace across the racetrack. We'll see how long it lasts.
Not for long. I can guess that much. David Bush has done a good job of surviving the early drama. Started deeper in the order in GT3. Probably not in the favored car. You don't necessarily think of a Lamborghini GT3 car as being the one to go for on an oval, but he's made it work. He's survived. Now he's got Aiden Young behind him, though, in the number 13, looking very aggressive, and Ryan Luna looking exactly the wrong way on the backstretch.
And again, look for those headlights. That would be worrisome if I'm coming through the corner and I see any yellow headlights pointed towards me, because I don't know where those cars are going at that point, but maybe it can be a bit of a warning when somebody like a Luna is sideways and basically has to block the track to get back going. A couple of them hung up in turn number 1. That was... I missed the truck that went around. I think it might have been Lane who was involved in that one. Yeah, there he is in the 60 truck. And, trouble there. He'll tag another one off and around. It's Ian Cabana again along the inside fence. Other straightaway, it's Ethan Bass on the inside wall.
That was your race leader in GT3. The Bassmaster loses the lead and goes around. Ian Cabana's just trying to get it turned around, and everybody keeps hitting him. Poor guy. Ian was doing so well, and he just keeps getting hit and sent laps down. He's 7 laps down now, but look at this. We got a legitimate battle for the lead in the trucks. Sean Campbell and Graham Wildman have found each other. There are 2 of 3 drivers who are still on the lead lap in this class. They're actually doing battle in a cloud of GT3s.
Yeah, problem is they're the slowest cars in this cloud of GT3s, so can they survive? Campbell gonna get hit there. That was the 28 machine on the way through of Ryan Luna, and I think that gaggle of cars gets by and leaves Wildman and Campbell to fight it out amongst themselves for now. But if I'm Campbell, if I'm on the bottom, I'm worried that someone's going to pump me out of the way. He'll go high, let those faster cars go on the bottom. Look out, couple of them wrecked below, and both those top 2 trucks skirt it that time as well.
Jeff Evans involved in one of those crashes. I think he's slowly regenerating his wheels. Oh, there's a tumble. There's a big old tumble. Kevin Berquist is one of them, and Daniel Zeggers is still going around. Graham piles him through like it doesn't matter. There we go. Zeggers is okay again, but you got to be careful with some of these. These have been such big hits. You lose all 4 wheels, and obviously it's a danger of ending up upside down and you can't keep going, but you could get a meatball, and you might get penalized if your wheels don't generate quickly enough.
These are just darting left to right on the racetrack, trying to see not who's spun, but who's not spun around at this point. Again, there is a battle for the lead.
Yep,
as
everybody involved here.
Yeah, every class battle, by the way, is still within a lap of each other, and that is what has impressed me so far through the opening 10.
And it is important to stay on the lead lap because you don't want to get stuck a lap down when the caution comes out, but it's also not the end of your day if you end up a lap down. It's so easy to lose a lap around here. The entire field has done it, but if Alex Crow and Jeff Evans get taken out one more time, Caleb Lehman's back on the lead lap, and it turns around as quickly as that. Speaking of getting taken out again, there's Kevin Berquist in front of the field. Zeggers is in it this time. Alex Crow wasn't in it that time, but Jeff Evans is in it that time. He's in trouble again.
And Evans is going to get pinned on the outside wall.
Oh!
This is one of the biggest we've seen so far. 8 cars at least. Jeff Evans gets hit about
They're
3-4 times. Can Caleb Lemon find his way through? He sneaks his way by, so Lemon's going to make up a little bit of time in that one. And oh, well, right as I said that it looked like he was going to find his way through, he's roofed, he's to pit road, and that's some friendly fire between some Mustangs.
Alex Crow's been taken out finally. He's able to get going, so he hasn't lost a ton, but that did allow Jeff Evans to get back on the lead lap. And Austin Hunter, who's been a lap down longer than anybody else, is in trouble. David Bush has retaken the lead in GT3. His rival Ethan Bass got turned around behind. You saw Sean Campbell and Graham Wildman actually doing battle for the lead in trucks again. But these guys, we had a semblance of sanity for the first 10 minutes or so, but I think everybody's just decided, you know what? It's full throttle, no matter what, for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and one thing that we really didn't see at Montreal, just because of the scale of the racetrack, that we might see here just based on proximity. You mentioned, Alex Crow is finally in one. Here's his onboard. Look out. Can he find a way through? He does. No, he gets tagged late. Turned around. Catch fence up and over. Ian Cabana involved. Bush comes through. Drop kicks Austin Hunter. You might actually see drivers seeking out the leaders just based on proximity. That's one thing I'm going to be watching for as we get to the final 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That's beyond the comp yellow.
Oh no, Jeff is stuck in the wall.
Oh, that's big.
There we go. He regenerates him, kicks him out, but as soon as he does, he ends up in the path of Ryan Luna, and he did lose a lap while he was stuck down there. He needs more big trouble for Alex Crow. Sean Campbell in the wall again. He's done well to survive, but he hasn't been able to put a lap on Graham Wildman. He needs to do that to be truly safe, and he has not been able to do that all day. The GT3s are being respectful to him. I feel like he's the only truck people are being respectful to.
They know he's trying to get another one. Aiden Young jumped over the radio and said, "My arms are dead." I mean, it's funny, but this thing's got to be a workout, ripping these things around, and you're not, there's no rhythm at all, right? You can't, worry about your corner entries, graphs around, middle of the road right there. I mean, you're constantly
I hope nobody's in
swerving.
VR.
Oh, that would make me sick.
Caleb Lehman might have been in VR, and he went to space. He tumbled. I worry for him. I think Ethan Bass is in VR sometimes, so he might be having a little bit of trouble. There's even more death in the background, and oh, Ethan. Oh, Ethan. I feel like that 19 truck, Nick Hunter, has been seeking people out.
Spinning like a top was one of those cars. That was Jeff Evans. Poor guy just got back on track after getting stuck in the fence, and he was spinning like a Beyblade on the front stretch, and he's going to be in this one. Nicholas Hunter's onto the inside wall, but there's Evans. He's tumbling now up and into the fence again in turn number 3.
This would be the most ridiculous thing ever. The guys who won in class in race 1 are all in the lead in their classes in race 2. What are the chances of that happening? That's crazy.
Couldn't do that if you tried to let that happen. But maybe there's something to be said. Some, I don't know if it's elite wreck avoidance skills, or if it's you've got more friends than some others and people are giving you a little bit more room or what, but something tells me it can't just be coincidence. There's got to be something. And Evans, by the way, is stuck on his lid again. Yeah, but he's in a prime position to get punted. There you go. That should help. Come on, bring it over.
It helps to be in the middle of the track because you know somebody's going to hit you if that happens.
And they just can't. He's not getting now this is a bad spot to be in down on the inside.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Competition caution. Flies. And it will be a double file restart. I'm going to make sure of that.
Evans,
if I can figure out the command, I'm gonna break the fourth wall a little bit.
immediately after the yellow comes out, Jeff Evans did get a punt, so he is back on all 4 tires. But he is now somehow 4 laps down to David Bush in the end, 6 laps down to the next closest car in class and overall leader Alex Crow. So the damage has been done for the Jeff Evans camp.
The yellow has flown. Alex Crow pitting for some reason. Here are your overall standings. The GT3s have actually done very well for themselves. Having bumpers has proven to be very effective. And David Bush and Aiden Young are actually rounding out the podium for the moment. Alex Crow, he might still win in class, but if he gets wrecked one too many times, a GT3 might win this overall.
It's a 1 lap difference from Crow in the F3 to your point, David Bush, leader in class for the GT3s, and then 3rd overall, 4th overall, and 5th overall are all GT3s with the issues with Evans. Daniel Zegers has had enough problems to get down 7 laps. I think it's the size and the weight of those GT3s. Yeah, they're not as quick as the F3s, but when they get in wrecks, they're not flopping all over the place and getting in the air, and I think the closed-off wheel wells have been helping them a lot.
This is going to be a tough restart to navigate. I don't know how the ordering's going to work, but black flags will not be cleared, so you better figure it out. Drivers are arguing amongst themselves right now about figuring out where am I supposed to be. Oh, the pace car's pulling off. I did not expect that to happen. Some people are in pit lane. Some people are on track. I guess we're going green. Alex Crow has lost his nose, but we're racing once more at Southern National.
The cleanest restart you'll see is when they're confused like that. So Alex Crow is off and away. David Bush, leader amongst the GT3s. Your leader in trucks is still Sean Campbell. And there are 12 minutes left to go in this race.
Alex Crow trying to survive. But there's a broadside car across the track, and there he goes! Gets collected immediately on the restart. And this is what David Bush needs.
Well, as the drivers try to figure things out and get back into a rhythm. Again, Jeff Evans 5 laps down to Alex Crow, so Crow's going to need to have some serious problems, and I mean stuck on the lid and take a tow kind of problems if Evans is going to get to him. And there's all kinds of wrecks around him, below him, high, low. One thing is these GT3s have got 3 cars within 1 lap of each other, so that's a pretty legitimate battle going on right now. I think the only one in which the leaders in the same class are on the same lap as each other right now.
Graham Wildman not actually ahead of Sean Campbell there. He's almost a lap down. Austin Hunter is in trouble, trying to get it going, just full throttling it against the wall. Eventually he'll get spat back out. I think he needs to just sit there. He needs to wait for the wheel to regenerate, and it should just spit him out of the wall. Or maybe not.
He's trying. You see McGeehan also turned around, not stuck in the wall, and that will help or hurt one way or the other. It got him off the fence. He was trying to be real precise, trying to make a 9-point turn to not get in anybody's way, and all that just to get punted out of the way. But it's a means to an end. He's rolling again.
Sean Campbell trying to put a lap on Graham Wildman. David Bush trying to run away from Aiden Young. The white Mustang in your picture is Aiden Young. David Bush in the Lamborghini. That's your GT3 battle for the lead. Might be the overall battle for the lead, depending on what happens to Alex Crow. But that Lamborghini, maybe it's a hidden gem. Nobody picked it except for David Bush, but that's his regular GT3 car, I believe, and it's working for him. I think he might have just gotten taken out as soon as we looked away, though.
And look at this one.
Yep,
Get a good
there it
view of
is.
that. There's Bush into the fence. The 48 got into him, so Aiden Young going to open up his advantage. And now, yeah, when it rains, it pours. Bush is in it again.
Mark Kalin up into second in GT3, but here's your overall leader. Tantalizingly close to a dominant victory in F3, but he's still got 10 more minutes to survive. And he's got I'd say some cars that don't want him to win this race, Evan. There's been some heat-seeking missiles in this field. There's been some people who are willing to take people out, and Alex Crow's got a target on his back.
That's what I've been waiting for. Again, Montreal was too big for that. But here at Southern National, if there's even one driver out there that wants to right rear somebody, you're going to get an opportunity at the leader, especially in the F3s, because they're going to be passing you so often. Just wait 4 laps. You'll get a look at Alex Crow. Again, Evans is 5 laps down, so he's going to need a lot of help if he wants to look at terms of winning this thing. But I think there's a 0% chance that Alex Crow drives unobstructed for these final 9 minutes. Something has to give.
Mark Kalin has unfortunately given. He's been turned around at a second in GT3. There's definitely less cars out on track than there once were, but it's not that many. Faison Sheik is not here. He disconnected after he was turtled on the backstretch. Kevin Berquist dropped out. But there's still 27 cars out there. There's not going to be a lot of calm. And Sean Campbell's found maybe a little bit of that calm. But for 5 seconds, maybe. If you look at the other half of the track that we're not seeing right now, it looks nothing like this. It looks like chaos.
Yeah, he's a lap ahead total compared to Graham Wildman for first and second in class amongst the trucks. Alex Crow still your leader. That's going to be a bit of a hold up. And again, with damage turned off, though, just a little bit of a shunt like that means nothing to him. Look at the throttle off where those F3s really dominate. And then look at this miraculous amount of clean racetrack he's got. It ain't going to last forever, but there you go. 19, middle of the road. That's a huge hit for Crow. Those tires will snap back. There's another hit, and now here's where you can get in trouble when you get one wreck after another after another.
Oh.
You can't seem to get away. I think he's finally got it rolling again.
He got it pointed straight, but look who got by him. David Bush and Aiden Young both got by him, and he gets tumbled to the inside of the track. Alex Crow's overall win is over, but can he get back out on track? He's got a tow from the infield. Can he get back out on track before Jeff Evans gets back around him?
That's exactly what needed to happen. It had to be a major issue, and that punt into the infield did it. So Aiden Young takes over the overall lead as the race leader in the GT3 category. Alex Crow is on pit road on lap number 90. Jeff Evans, second in class, currently coming around to take lap number 88. So can he make up enough time to get Crow for P1 in class? That's the question we have to follow.
Here we go. This is going to be for the race lead. If Jeff Evans can make it through 3 and 4 here, he's going to take the F3 lead. Not the overall race lead, just the class lead in F3. There he goes. Jeff Evans to the lead in F3, but he's still 3 laps behind Aiden Young and David Bush for overall.
And as Crow sits there now, oh, huge one on the front stretch. Evans involved in this one. It's going to slow his progress down ever so slightly, but I mean, that's probably a black flag penalty for Crow, plus the tow penalty because he went through pit road. I mean, that thing is still on pit road. And I did say it would take almost an act of God to take him out of this thing, and that's a tough blow for Alex Crow, but he's pretty much done and dusted in terms of the class.
Aiden Young actually has a full lap over the rest of the field now. He's put a lap on David Bush. Now the question is, can he survive? He's in a big, burly Mustang. He's going to have a much easier job of keeping it on track than the F3s are. But nobody else has had an easy job of doing that. The rest of the field's a lap down. It can just as easily happen to him. And now he's got the biggest target on his back. Thank you, producer Dustin.
There you go. That's where everybody's aiming for. By the way, just to note, Alex Crow is back on the racetrack, but it is 2 laps down to that of Jeff Evans. So we'll keep an eye on it. Right now, though, not competitive in the battle for the F3 win. 1 lap difference amongst the trucks. 1 lap difference amongst the GT3s. Aiden Young dodging high and low, and somehow through all of the chaos, does he find an opening? He does.
The holes opened for him. The seas parted. Alex Crow is in a bad situation here. Jeff Evans is in a terrible situation. The entire field is in a terrible situation here in turn 4. And again, it just opens for Aiden Young as he comes by.
Sometimes when it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and right now everything is going right for Aiden Young, who started on the grid 18th overall. We talked about the speed of the F3s, but their lack of size and their lack of weight behind them has hurt them dearly. And the GT3s now occupy 4 of the top 5 spots in the battle for the overall. Still about a full lap of difference between Aiden Young and David Bush. 1 lap plus some between first and second in class and for the overall win as we encroach on 4 minutes left to go at Southern National.
Jeff Evans is tantalizingly close. He's 2 laps down to the leader, but he's much, much faster than the leader. He's gonna pass him at least once and get his lap back. He does need Aiden Young to get turned around, though, at least once, maybe twice, if he wants to get back on the lead lap and battle with him. Aaron Sunday and Robert McGeehan in trouble directly ahead of Jeff Evans, but critically, he's gonna make it through, and Nick Hunter is gonna stay out of his way as well. Young's now put 2 laps on the field. He's put 2 laps over David Bush. He's got a big cushion, but with 3.5 minutes to go, that is not as short as it seems. There's still about 20 laps left in this race that Aiden Young needs to survive.
He's got a ways to go. If you're Aiden Young, you're likely going to get about 12 laps, I think, in at GT3 pace to the end of this one. The F3s can maybe get 13 or 14 more laps in at pace, so we saw how quickly things turned around. If you were in the Alex Crow camp, and in fact, Crow now down to 3rd, by the way, in class, so it only gets worse and worse for him. It's the biggest gap that Aiden Young has had all night long. Is there anything left in the cards to spoil it for the lucky number 13?
Jeff Evans has got himself on the same lap as David Bush, so he might have second in the books, but he's got to get his lap back on Aiden Young here. He's gonna do so. Gonna go to the outside, gonna rip around the outside. Jeff Evans only 2 laps down now, but he's in trouble as there is a pile driver on the front stretch, and yet again, Aiden Young finds his way through it.
When you're him, and Aiden Young's not even having to go on the offensive. I mean, he could be pushing the threats out of the way, but he just goes where they aren't. They're kind of doing the work for him by taking each other out, and he just goes to find the gaps, trouble up the road. Does he get through? Of course he does. Aiden Young finds the gap.
And Young puts 3 laps on David Bush now. This is an absolute show of dominance. There is going to be a battle for second, though. Here comes Jeff Evans chasing down David Bush, the pink F3 versus the pink Lamborghini. This is a battle for track position. This is the battle for second overall.
P2 overall amongst cars in different classes, and Jeff Evans should have the speed advantage here, but it's going to be harder for him to fight off the trouble and wait on cue. You just can't barrel through a wreck in an F3 like you can in a Lamborghini.
He's in no danger of...
in it, though. That's Bush on the inside wall. He just got turned, and passing him right back goes Jeff Evans.
The Bassmaster gets into him. I don't know, Mark Kalin might be in the conversation for the podium, but as Aiden Young brings it to the line here, 3 laps is about 42 seconds. Aiden Young needs to get taken out and flipped out of the track on this lap if he wants to lose. If not, he's got a big enough cushion that he can cruise home. He can park it. There it is. He's clinched it. He can park it now and still win this race, but I have a feeling he's not going to do that.
He wants to end this one in style. Aiden Young has led 28 laps of this one overall after Alex Crow in the F3 was dominant early. And he had his stumbles, but I don't think anybody kept a cleaner race car in this race more than that man right there as the clock continues to tick down. And Aiden Young this time by going to be looking for the white.
White flag flies. I believe he did get it. He gets pummeled by an F3 car. He's got to get it back going here. He's got 2 laps of margin that he doesn't need to worry about. But Aiden Young, one of the most successful drivers in PRL history, right outside the top 10 in overall wins. This guy's won 4 championships, and in the most ridiculous race, he wins by 2 whole laps over the rest of the field. Jeff Evans in the F3 class. These guys were faster overall, but the delicacy of these F3 cars meant they got beaten by the Burley GT3s. Either way, Jeff Evans is going to get pushed across the line with 3 wheels eventually. And there he goes. Jeff Evans wins in the F3 class, finishes 2nd overall, and Sean Campbell, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, picks up the truck with 5 minutes to go and survives better than anybody else. He puts a lap on Graham Wildman. Colton Lane comes home in 3rd. Somehow. Don't know how that happened in the trucks. But wow. What a way to say au revoir to the Precision Racing League, Evan. The most chaotic race we've ever had.
I don't know if this will stand, but I'm showing now that Jeff Evans may be
my
the
goodness.
overall winner. So when Aiden Young got wrecked on the final lap of this race, he got turned and undercut the pit road entry cone, which is where the sim kind of draws the line on, hey, you have to pit or not. You see that cone? It was just in the shot. He drove back onto the racetrack under the cone, which would be a pit road entry violation. And I believe we'll take a look at the results to see if this reflects it. Aiden Young first to the stripe, but in the overall results,
right.
Jeff Evans with the steal.
Wow. Jeff Evans does indeed win overall. Both of these guys still got the wins in their class, so it doesn't affect things too much, but still, Jeff Evans gets the glory of the fastest car still winning overall in the PRL Au Revoir Open in this spectacular send-off. So congrats to Jeff, I guess. Congrats to Aiden all the same. He was truly dominant, and he does still get a win in class for all of his efforts. David Bush and Mark Kalin round out the GT3 podium. Great runs from both of them. Caleb Lehman, incredible run from him. He was laps down early and drove back to finish 2nd in F3. Alex Crow rounds out the F3 podium after his early dominance as well. Christian Menezes, Ryan Luna, and Andrew Venaro shows of survival to end up in the top 10, and Sean Campbell in 9th ended up winning in the trucks. Dave Jensen, 11th overall. Graham Wildman, 2nd in the trucks. Kevin Bergquist in his F3 car. Early leader, if only he could have survived a little bit more. Sean Mulholland, Neil Alexander, Aaron Sunday, Ethan Bass, and Colton Lane. Colton Lane rounds out the podium in the trucks. A nice 3rd for him, ahead of Robert McGeehan and Tyler Graff. But the hits keep on coming. Daniel Zeggers, gotta feel bad for him, one of the first guys to end up upside down, but he powered through and finished the race. Edwin Onofre, Ian Cabana, James Morgan, and Patrick Cowgill down to the end of the top 25. Austin Hunter and Nick Hunter. It's only fitting that they had troubled days where they were upside down multiple times. Doug Evans and pole sitter Faison Sheik rounded out the 29-car field, and RaceSpot Live 9, for one final time in the Precision Racing League, we can laugh at our producer Dustin Allis. It's only fitting.
A rookie.
A absolute rook at the end of it all. But now, we've got pretty much the same batch of winners as in race 1. Couple of different guys, and Jeff Evans, somehow you won overall. You were 2 laps behind at the checkered flag, but Aiden Young got a penalty, and you're the winner now somehow.
Yeah, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, what luck.
Exactly. I mean, what luck indeed. Alex Crow had, what, like a 3-lap lead over you at one point? But finally got taken out, got dumped into the infield, and you got all your laps back.
Yeah, let's say when we had our competition caution, I think I was, I think I was like 3 laps down, so I spent the last like 2 or 3 laps before that caution upside down, just rolling down the front stretch, so I'm a little surprised that it was even close.
So for those of you at home, I was going to set up these sessions last night, but my iRacing update was taking too long, so I had to force Jeff to do it. But now that you've won, Jeff, I don't owe you $3 anymore. I think this is repayment.
Yeah, I sure. Yeah, that works.
There we go. Works for me. But you're one of those guys who's been around the PRL forever. I'm seeing 248 starts for you.
Wow.
Kind of crazy.
That many, huh?
What's your you're finishing it with a win. What are your lasting thoughts?
I mean, I guess that's a fun way to go out, you know. Winning this race was definitely not in the plans. But yeah, I guess I can go out saying for at least for now I'm the last PRL winner, and I guess after 200, however many starts, that's I don't have many wins, so I guess I got to take this one.
There you go. Congratulations. The most unlikely of wins. And I'm sure we'll see you before too long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, we'll be around. So thank you guys. And thanks to PRL and all the sponsors and everything for all these years. It's been a blast.
Jeff Evans, your victor overall and in the F3 class. But coming up next, the guy who thought he won overall ends up in second overall, still wins in class though. Aiden Young is with Evan.
Well, it's still going to be the class win amongst the GT3s, but Aiden, it's the tech shed or the lack of the officials that end up stealing overall from you in the end, courtesy of a last lap or second to last lap spin. But irregardless of that, man, what a race. We were following your march through the front, and it seemed like the weight behind that GT3 really benefited you over some of those frail formula cars to be able to be up front and have a shot at this overall.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I wasn't really expecting that, the amount of times I got taken out. So, just tried to stay clean after that and just have a bit of fun and avoid all the carnage. I think there was times where I had to completely stop in the racing line just to avoid the accidents. But then one time I managed to get lucky and just go full Days of Thunder mode, just no lift straight through the crash.
I think we used that exact quote on a couple of them as you appeared on the other side of the smoke, you know, doing 120 plus laps in a race like this, in a format like this. Is there actually any strategy at all that you could implement, or is it just all instinct? You see what happens in front of you as we get a look at that cone that nabbed you at the end. But I mean, are things happening too quick to strategize? I mean, you know, what's the secret sauce to be better than all these other drivers in such a chaotic race?
You just have to see your way through the field. You know, if you focus on what's directly in front of you, that's all you see. If you focus what's in front of that, you're gonna see your way through the accident, and that's what allowed me to avoid it. As I'm looking on the broadcast right now, I see Dustin circling the cone. Yes, Dustin, yeah. I know.
Insult to injury. If it helps, he accidentally joined the race as a driver. So RaceSpot9 showed up on the leaderboard. So I don't think he has, you know, don't throw stones in a glass house to our producer Dustin Allis downstairs. But, you know, this was a fun race, Aiden. Obviously, we enjoyed everybody being able to come out and have some fun. As ridiculous as it was, I think it was equally as fun to enjoy and hope it was fun for you guys to participate with Trackside. Just before we let you go, obviously, celebrating the PRL in this race here tonight and all the memories, all the friendships and partnerships and everything from throughout the years. Just wanted to give you a chance to say thanks to anybody you may want to before we step away.
Yeah, thank you to PRL for putting on a great series and seasons throughout the years. You know, it's going to be a little bit sad to see him go, but hopefully we see him return in the future. And then thanks to my team, WSR Esports Butt Kicker, for supporting me through the GT4 season. It was my first season with them, and managed to win the championship with them. So big thanks to them for that, and then as well for the GT3, and then for all the competitors for making every event as exciting, and the commentators for making the broadcast fun to go back and watch.
Well, thanks for making this one fun to watch from Trackside. Again, congratulations on your winning class.
Thank you.
One more victor to talk to. I predicted we might talk to him one more time. Sean Campbell, we had to peer pressure you into joining this race, but yet again, you managed to pull out a win. I wish I had better questions for you, but I'm just going to say the word how again.
Even more prayer than last time, I think. I gotta see how many incident points I got at the end, because I got some.
I think I picked the right car for you. I think that's what the key is.
Yeah, I think
it's a group effort.
The trucks are definitely the least delicate, but they were the slowest, so it was a little bit of a balance.
Yeah, they were kind of beef tanks.
Beef, that's a good word for them. But I'm looking at stats, since this is your last PRL interview for the moment, Sean, but you're going out here, 7th most wins in the PRL, got 32 of those things across You drove the Xfinity car, you drove GT4, GT3, GTP, LMP3. I think that's basically everything the PRL has to offer. What was your favorite? What do you rank number one?
In terms of fun, the Xfinity was quite fun to learn. The GT4 season was really fun. With the battles between Michael and oh god, I don't remember his name. It's Sandown. I still remember Sandown. Do you remember Sandown?
Michael Diaz?
Yes. No, I remember Michael. I don't. He was gonna win, and then he didn't win.
I think that was Michael Diaz.
No, he was in Aston. Michael was in the middle. We both missed turn
Mike
one.
Pabiano?
No, we both missed turn one, and then there was.
I remember this race, but I don't remember what his name was. I gotta check. Before I let you go, I'm gonna check this right now.
We don't talk about what happened.
It was very unfortunate.
We don't talk about what happened after turn. I shouldn't have won that race.
Adam Brockway, was it him?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
There we go.
And then Justin as well. At the end, I think once he joined, so we had good fun in the GT4s. LMP3 was really fun. Yeah, it was Brockway. I was just trying to remember which I said. How is this? Are you guys still in the session? How is Alex's car floating the way it is right now?
I don't know. There's a little bit of magic.
Yeah.
But where are we going to see you next? I know as of like a week ago, you're officially a grid and go guy now. Where are we seeing Sean Campbell next?
Sebring 12 hour, I guess. Looking
Nice.
forward to that. No rain, unfortunately.
And where
That's
will
my
that be
one,
broadcasted, Sean?
Where do you think?
Where do you think? RaceSpotTV, all 12 hours of Sebring. Yep. You'll see Sean Campbell there.
Maybe.
Plug. But all right. Good to see you again, Sean. Congrats on picking up 2 non-competition wins, and we'll see you next week here on RaceSpot, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for hosting all of it.
Old Sean Campbell surviving yet again, but we've got a couple more drivers to talk to. It's their last time to reminisce on the PRL, so we'll rocket through a couple more. Alex Crow is here. Alex, you were looking dominant in that F3 car. You had a 3-lap lead at one point, I think, but it all came undone when you got tumbled into the infield.
Yeah.
How was it from the inside of the cockpit?
Terrifying the entire time. Yeah, I don't know how I just got lucky a few times. I ended up in the lead at half. Tried to hold on to it for a while. Ended up upside down in the pits, and that was really it. Towards the end, the exact same thing happened again. So I just got out in time to get back on the track for celebrations after, which is all that really matters in this race. But yeah, now I'm just me and Sean were chilling, eating our drive-through, and now I'm upside down.
There you go.
Floating.
But I still remember this season in competition, you and Alex Caruso in the LMP2s giving us some of the most spectacular PRL racing ever. What are your lasting memories of the PRL? And anybody else you want to give a shout out to in your last chance here?
Yeah, definitely Caruso. We've always raced really hard against each other. Sean's trying to flip me over, so I guess I'll shout out him. Take my hands off the wheel.
Into the ice machine.
Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. Yeah, definitely Alex Caruso. Me and him raced together. Both seasons I did PRL. I've also raced against him in officials a bunch too. We've always raced really well against each other. And the whole PRL, whole RaceSpot team for putting on the event. It's Sean's still throwing me around.
I'm gonna bring him back in here. Sean,
Sean.
we got Alex here with you. Yeah, you having a good time?
Yeah, I'm stuck on the picnic table.
I think. Am I stuck on the other side of the picnic table, or am I on the wall?
I don't know.
You're stuck on the picnic table. You're
sharing
a barbecue sandwich up there.
We're all stuck. Oh wait, Ethan's good. One more ram. Get some speed.
Oh.
Unfortunate.
No, that made it worse. Also, while we're here, Sean, I just remembered something. You know something ironic? The owner of Southern National Speedway is a guy named Michael Diaz.
Ah,
Not the same guy, but different, same last name.
funny.
Funny indeed.
It all comes full
All right.
circle, literally, because it's an open.
It does.
That was pretty bad.
The more you know.
The more you know. But Alex, congrats on some great runs, and hopefully we see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Alex Crow, and Sean Campbell for that matter. What a guy. What a sportsman-like guy. The chat is still sticking around. We know everybody's here for one guy. We know they're here for Mr. Graham Wildman. Graham, you were tentatively close in this race and in GTP. You were so close to the back of Sean both times. What more did you need? Did you need a missile to take him out?
Well, I think I need an extra probably 4,000 I rating. It's not often you get to lose to Sean Campbell twice in one night, so we'll definitely take that. Yeah, he is a little too fast for me today.
But you're also a guy who's done basically everything. You've been on the ovals in the PRL. You've been on the road courses. You've had more people than anybody else in the chat at all times. Got any final shout-outs you want to give out?
Just shout out to all my friends and family. You know, they enjoy watching this. They enjoy the commentary you guys have. I hope you guys appreciate their presence as much as vice versa. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun doing this. Found you guys kind of out of random, and the past year and a half has been a blast. So just want to give my thanks to everybody involved, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Hopefully it's not too long. Graham, congrats on second. Congrats on some fun runs tonight, and yeah, I'm sure we'll see you before too long.
Yep, thanks guys. I think I would need to go ice my hands after that.
Definitely. Graham Wildman's going to go over to the freezer, and we are going to talk to the driver who rounded out the truck podium, Colton Lane. I almost can't believe it. You were backwards so many times, but you finished on the podium in the trucks.
Well, we made it work somehow, but I mean,
yeah.
If people didn't die, they weren't out there having fun. You know what I mean? Like that's about all that race was, trying to figure out how to navigate all the wild, crazy stuff,
Exactly. But we have to talk to you because you're one of the OGs of the OGs of the PRL. You were here before pretty much anybody else not named Charles Sumner. You got about a decade of memories here. What's sticking out over anything else?
I mean, honestly, just being able to after what turned into the downfall of the Sunday series for like a season or two, I went and ran trucks, and that's where I ran into all my current people that I race with now. Bradley Holly, Tom Sink mainly, Austin Hunter, and that's how Waterback started. We raced as two separate teams for a while, and when we got bigger as a league, we decided to just clump it up and make one big group, and then everybody else that's joined along the way, man. I don't think I'd still be racing on iRacing if it wasn't for all them fellas there, and then PRL in general, you know what I mean? It's taught me a lot over the years.
It builds families. It builds friends. I don't think we've seen any relationships formed by the PRL yet, but it's not too late. It's not too late. But until that happens,
still time.
It's still time. Maybe it's me and you, Colton. You never know. Congrats on your podium, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Colton Lane, third place here. Couple more drivers, couple more OGs. I'll bring both Hunters in here. We got Austin Hunter and we got Nick Hunter. Guys, I think it's only fitting, as we see on screen right now, Ethan Bass and Sean Campbell are still desperately trying to free Alex Crow. He's actually stuck in the picnic table at the moment. But I think that's fitting for you guys. In your final races here, you both ended up 18 laps down. Is that fitting?
Oh, very fitting. It's in classic PRL fashion. Over my last 2 years, I finished the race on my roof, so it was perfect finale.
Have to get the Austin Hunter roll counter in there.
We might break the counter.
we may have broken the counter, but I think it's 600 starts in the PRL across both of you guys. Austin, was it you who joined first?
Yes, I am actually the longest active member in PRL, so take that, Colton, as you were. I joined February 2nd of 2014, according to Patrick's stats, so just over 11 years of PRL.
So who do you need to shout out after all that? I know there's the curling team. There's that guy who made your backgrounds. I forget his name.
Yeah, that Brendan Chatley guy, PRL Jerome. I've been around PRL since before Jerome even owned it. You guys, Joey, for putting this on, GSRC, who else? And just everybody along the way. Want to make sure, again, I give a special shout out to John LaBaff and CM Pennington, and those other PRL legacy members that we lost along the way. And just, it's been a blast. I haven't done an official race in 3 years on iRacing. I only have iRacing for PRL, so it's going to be a big change for me here.
And Nick, you've done a lot of help for us here at RaceSpot. You've been a production assistant of sorts at times, and you're always willing to give us the secrets. You're always painting those crazy paint schemes. What was the truck from a couple years ago with the box of milk on it?
It was box water.
Precision Racing Liquid.
Yeah, it was the box water truck. I can't. You said something on the interview. I can't remember one of those talks of Cheez-Its or Coke and boxed water, and I can't remember who you're talking with, but yeah, you gave me the idea, and I was just learning Blender at the time, so I made a 3D milk box that was precision racing water or something like that. I can't precision racing liquid.
Purified racing liquid, I think.
And something. Yeah. So PRL, yada yada. Like yeah, I made
PRL, yada yada.
And I put a little quote of yours. I think it's like you would drink a box of that or something like that, and then sign Joey T.
Yes, I would. I expect the royalties to start rolling in.
Oh yeah. The check's in the mail.
Yeah. But both of you guys, it's been great to see you all. We thank you all for your help, and I'm sure it will not be too long before we see you on track again.
I'm going to go ahead and go down my list of thank yous. I definitely want to thank Austin for dragging me into this. Thanks to Charles Sumner, who gave me the opportunity to become an admin, and I never would have thought I would be here this long and have so many races. I think my whole career, I've maybe missed 3 races total since 2019. And that's my own little proud stat to have. I want to thank you guys. Obviously, Joey and I are friends, of course. I'll probably see you again. At least I hope so. But just RaceSpot overall, everybody that I've worked with and talked to and everything, I want to thank you guys, especially Hugo. I'm going to give a shout out to Dustin. I want to say hi to Evan because he's been quiet.
Say hi, Evan.
Hi. Hi there.
There we go.
There's too much cereal talk for me, so I'm just hanging and enjoying, you know?
And naturally, I want to thank my wife because she has put up with me for nearly almost every Wednesday, sometimes a Sunday, since 2019. And she's been with me through the highs and lows, put up with my frustrations, and definitely has been an inspiration for me to keep going. So shout out to my wife, as corny as that may sound. And everybody at Waterback. Like I said, Austin drugged me into this, and I've moved on from friends to family. So, and everybody who ever raced in the truck league, thank you, everyone. I can't say that enough. Thank you. Yeah, you made me laugh, Dustin. Thank you.
Evan, would you also like to give a shout out to Nick's wife?
Of course. Yeah, sure.
There we go. The Hunter brothers, PRL OGs. We'll see both of you guys soon.
Thanks, Joey. Thanks,
Thank
Evan.
you guys.
See you guys.
Austin Hunter and Nick Hunter, the big two. If only we had Stacy Hunter, who's not actually related to them. One more driver. Speaking of people who make a lot possible here in the PRL, it's our own stats guy, Patrick Cowgill, who took over an a Google sheet that I built manually and just put numbers in and turned it into some kind of nuclear-powered lookup table, statistics, calculus, magic kind of thing. But Patrick, apart from that sheet, you've also been in the PRL forever. You're in the top 10 in all-time starts. It's been a journey for you too to get here today.
Yes, it has.
So I know we got a couple of thank yous out of you after your last competition race in the IndyCar a couple of weeks ago. But is there anybody else you still need to thank?
Yeah, I guess I should probably thank all of the teams that I've been on in PRL, because they've helped me learn a lot through racing and all that stuff. So I gotta thank Whataback and SRT Esport. Those are the 2 major teams. And then I gotta thank DDI Motorsports for the last season and a half. And then the guys in Miata Mafia when we raced in the Miatas. That was a lot of fun. And then Richard Regan Jr. He was the first team that I joined in trucks under Ballistic Union. So I gotta thank him for all that he helped me with. And of course gotta thank you guys at RaceSpot and everybody at PRL for all of the hard work that they put in to put this whole league together and all of that fun stuff.
Good stuff. And I do have to jump in here. I believe, producer Dustin, Sean Campbell has freed Alex Crow. Can we see him? Is he still there? No, the network closed, we're hearing. So just as... Oh, no, not just as. They were free because the network closed. So it's a far less exciting situation than we thought. But anyway, back to you, Patrick. Congrats on everything. This is a great sheet. I hope you're able to apply that to future leagues. And yeah, I'll see you very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was definitely a couple hundred hours of my free time that I had to put into that. So
big time PRL guy. Patrick Cowgill. Coming home, I don't even know where he ended up at the end of this. I don't know where anybody ended up at the end of this race. I've already forgotten. But Evan, that is going to round out our drama and our chaos and our excellent racing for the night. You've been a recent addition to our PRL family with a couple of seasons recently, but you've been in and around the PRL for quite a few years. What are your final thoughts as we do have to say au revoir here in a couple of minutes?
I think it's, tonight's kind of a good kind of dichotomy of, I think, a lot of the community stuff here on the service, right? I mean, before, having done a lot of stuff here with RaceSpot, but not doing a lot of PRL stuff, it continuously surprises me, but then doesn't, because I've come to expect it, that you can find a new league that you may not have been exposed to before, and you're like, oh, I feel like I've seen all of the good drivers on the sim, so eventually you've got to run into one where they're bad, and you just don't. Like, there's just so much talent. There's so many communities out there. And even though it was only with a couple of seasons with the PRL Truck Series, I enjoyed getting to know a lot of these guys, in some slight context. But then also, like, all of these championships, they take very seriously, right, when it comes to their real normal series, we'll call it. And then it's fun because at the end of the day, like, stuff like this is some of the goofy stuff the guys will do on the sim and hosted sessions, or late at night when their Truck Series race is done and they toss up a session just with some buddies to mess around. So I think it's a good example of the community, of clearly the positive environment that the PRL, the admins, and everybody have done to put a place together where drivers have been able to be comfortable, to make friends. And again, a lot of them, the first thing they said is, these are relationships and friendships that will take outside of the sim and well beyond that. So even though it's only been for a little bit, I'm thankful to have been a small part of this, and happy that I got to enjoy a pretty fun night here in the booth.
And there's a couple of big names we especially have to shout out. Jerome Bertiome. We actually honored him with the session password tonight. The password for every session was Jerome. He's been big. Charles Sumner, of course, forever. Marco Oliveira, Mark Kalin, J.R. Williams, Nick McLaughlin, Arnaud Genet, to name a few, the admins and the owners who have made everything possible here at the PRL. And unfortunately, after 2,155 races and over a decade, it's time to say au revoir to the Precision Racing League. It's not a goodbye forever, but it is still a goodbye for now to the insurmountable win total of Bradley Holly, to the shoeys of Ted Lowendick, and to Patrick Cowgill's nuclear-powered statistics sheet. We saw a Joshua Chin and a Joshua Chinsky that somehow weren't the same guy. We saw Sean Campbell continuously be Sean Campbell, and I think we're still waiting for Richard Regan Jr. to finish thanking his sponsors. We'll never forget our friends John LaBaff, CM Pennington, and Martin Crisp, and we still don't know the answer to the question, where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? For Evan Pasoko and Dustin Allis, for Arjuna Kankapati, Hugo Luis, Joe Peak, Sean Ambrose, DJ Clark, Derek Watson, Ewan O'Leary, Reese Gardner, Justin Prince, Adam Lindgren, Terry Radford, Dylan Coyle, and dozens of others, I've been Joey Tebben. Thanks for watching the Precision Racing League. Until we see you next time, so long.